Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. To my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video in particular, we're going to be talking about Ivanka Trump. Not Ivanka, but Ivana Trump. The golf course burial and the children being buried in Mar-a-Lago and also on the golf course, the Epstein files and the tarot card readings. We're going to do that all in today's video. Anyway, this video is being recorded on none other than Tuesday, February the 3rd at 10:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as and when I'm recording this specific video. If you want to help out the channel grow, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, and the bell icon engaging with the content. Sharing this video with others really help boost the algorithm here on this YouTube channel. All right. So I do want to also give a quick shout out for those of you guys who actually helped the channel. I know many of you guys have done, but for this specific reading, through the community spotlight, we want to highlight Brenda C, Lilith Your Fire, L No for Singer, Extreme Brands, and Angel Shining. Thank you all so much for your participation in helping the channel grow in any capacity, whether you're commenting, liking, subscribing, in the bell icon. YouTube has recommended you guys for the week, so thank you guys so much. And if you want to stay in the loop and be notified when I do post and upload, go into the comments or the description, find my Blue Sky account and my Facebook group, and I will personally notify you as well. Hello Taurus, how are you? Alright, so I am ready now to take some questions in regards to Ivanka Trump and the golf course burial. I hope some of the people who came over and watched the previous live are currently here. In the meantime, I'm going to do a blind reading to kind of see what spirit is telling me to kind of, create some time for the people to come back in. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's ask spirits and angels. All right, so tell me, spirit, Ivana Trump. Now, we have done videos before on Ivana Trump, but I'll put them in the link in the description in the comments below in case you want to go ahead and watch some of those videos that I did on her back in 2024 and in regards to the burial and the golf course. All right, so spirits and angels, tell me about Ivana Trump. What do we need to know about Ivana Trump? Now, I honestly thought this would be a popular video, but I guess nobody wants to watch the live, and that's okay. So this will be a short one. Hello, Debbie. How are you, my love? All right, so we have the first couple of cards, and we're going to lay them out. Interesting. So the interesting layout in terms of Ivana Trump and the burial. But it's kind of like a blind reading. I really know nothing about Ivana Trump in any way. Ivana and Ivanka. All right, so we have here the first card that we have is the Two of Cups reverse. The Two of Cups reverse means disconnect. So this tells me here that this takes place, this story starts to begin at the disconnect, the discourse between her marriage between Donald Trump and Ivana Trump. All right, so this is when it starts. It starts exactly at the marriage. The disconnect means the divorce. Here you have it in the future. This is the Six of Cups. But this card, because this means the past when it's upright, it's reversed. It means the future. The Six of Cups is indicating the future. So the voice in the future about information, money, flow of money. Where is he getting it? This is the Seven of Pentacles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Seven of Pentacles. Just double checking here. What does this mean? It means Ivana, at the time of her divorce, and when she was finalizing things with Donald Trump, could not figure out for the life of God where all this money was coming from and how Trump was able to find it and where the money was funneling and stuff like that. So it almost feels like in some way Ivana Trump was kind of somewhat kept in the dark and that she had to do her own personal digging. That's what the Seven of Pentacles means. It means that Ivana Trump was kept in the dark about her ex-husband's behavior, which is Donald Trump. She was not aware, but she was considered like a sleuth, like the Nancy, investigative Nancy, or like, Sherlock Holmes. She became Sherlock Holmes. She wasn't at first. She didn't know about what's happening. She started to explore where the chains of money and how the money came to be as she got deeper, which means that as she got deeper and she got too close, that's when it led to her demise. The Seven of Pentacles is simply saying that when she was married to Donald Trump, she did not question the money. But when she was divorcing him and going through that process, Donald Trump came up with money that even though she could not even explain. Because here is the Strength card. The Strength card means power. It means control. It almost feels like I'm seeing a class where she talked to Donald Trump and said, I know what you did. I know what you're capable of. I have proof. But then, like, why would you tell that to somebody who you know is not a good person? I guess in some way, in some form, Ivana Trump truly believed in her heart that she would never be injured and that Donald Trump loved her enough to never hurt her. But, I mean, the thing that she could have found out about could have said otherwise. But the thing is, we don't know what Ivana Trump found out, but what we do know is that she found out too much. And that's what the strength card is telling me. It's telling me that Ivana found out too much. And here it is, it's the Ace of Pentacles. She was actually willing to hand over information. She was willing to hand over testimony and documentation. I would not be surprised if she was hand over documents that she is in the Epstein files. Not because she was a part of it, because it doesn't feel like in any way that Ivana Trump was a part of it. But instead, it almost feels like she gave a testimony, that she gave evidence, hard evidence. This is the Ace of Pentacles. I think that is what Trump fears the most because his own ex-wife went against him and revealed the man that he is. That is why Donald Trump is more so afraid than anything. This is the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is simply symbolizing she was trying to expose him, and it possibly could be a testimony in the Epstein files in the later half that could, shed a light on Donald Trump more directly. Underneath the Strength card, which is upright, and the Ace of Pentacles being reversed, we have the King of Wands. So this kind of came about like the time when she started to get mad at him and tell him that she had enough evidence, was around the time that Donald Trump became president. When Donald Trump became a leader of the world. Hello, Lewis. How are you, my love? How are you? So this is what the King of Wands is indicating. And King of Wands is simply saying that when the disconnect came, or when she told Donald Trump that she had all this information on him, and the thing that he did was simply rooted on the simple fact that, okay, she told him right when he had the most power. That was the wrong decision to make. And unfortunately, it led to her demise. Now, the thing that I'm concerned about is that because she told him that she had the power, she had the information, but I hope that she gave the testimony first so that it's in the file, so even after she's gone, the hard information that she found will come to light, and it could do some real damage to Donald Trump. But the King of Wands could also mean that I got to you, and therefore the Ace of Pentacles means you never got a chance to give your testimony. It could be interpreted in both ways. But regardless, her demise came after the interaction between Donald Trump and Ivana Trump, where Ivana Trump that believed in her heart that Donald Trump would never hurt her, and that he loved her at her core. But to be honest, that is anything but the truth. That is far from the truth, unfortunately. But that is the blind meeting between Ivana Trump and Donald Trump, and that was what Spirit wanted me to start off with. Why I wait for you guys to ask questions. Because what Debbie wanted to know, she had a court just before her death that somebody unalive her. Okay, so that seemed to be kind of like answering the, what's it called? I seemed to just answer what we just talked about like a moment ago. But we're going to ask a little bit more specifically. Spirit angels tell me, Debbie had a court date or a court hearing or whatever it is. I don't really know a little bit too much about it. But Ivana Trump had a court appearing or a court hearing or a testimony. Did someone alive her before her death or try to kill her? Yes. Again, this video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. Everything we say in this video is for alleged purposes. All right, so the top of the deck is the King of Pentacles. This means to put her off the throne, to take the scent off. That's what the King of Pentacles means. It means to take the scent off. But if anything, that does the opposite. But this is what the King of Pentacles means. The bottom of the deck, however, means the Justice card. And the Justice card being here and specifically, it indicates something very unique. It means that she did go to court. So yeah, it does confirm that not only did she go to court, but she sat there and laid out the evidence. This is the Nine of Cups. So to answer our question from earlier about hoping that she had an opportunity to lay out the hard evidence that she herself found, Well, it does appear that indeed did expose Donald Trump, that she did indeed lay out the hard evidence before she passed. And here is the reading in more specifically. There's somebody on a live card. This is the Five of Cups, and it is facing the direction of the past. Right? The Five of Cups is facing the direction of the past. This essentially means for Ivana Trump that her cup will coming towards an end, which means that she was already aware that she was going to die. There was a sensation of doom, if you will. A sensation of doom. And I almost feel like somebody warned her, and I'm getting that feeling that I got when I was reading on Jared Kushner at the end of the live earlier before this one. And it almost feels like somebody talked to her, and I almost feel like it could be Jared Kushner. And he told her that they're going to end her. It almost feels like he gave her a warning. And she knew in her heart that she was not going to make this. And so she had to make her mark. She had to make her move for the betterment of her children to know the truth. Even though the children don't really care. For her, she wanted to feel that they did. She doesn't see them as an adult version. She sees them as kids. Someone who's injured, somebody who's hurt. She feels like part of her story that she feels like she's a monster. That she allowed these kids to be born, that she gave birth to these kids and made them related to a monster. That's how she feels innately. She feels that. And so she feels like she owes it to them to give them the truth. And what they do with that truth would be up to them entirely. She cannot control that, but she can still give the opportunity to tell them the truth. And here you have it, the Magician card. The Magician card means that somebody gave the go-ahead and hurt her. This is the Magician card. So the plan was in motion, and there was a hitman. And here you have is the Ten of Pentacles. It means that your fortune, your ability to inherit, has ended, has concluded. And because of her inability to, to inherit her wealth, she put her children above everything else. That's what it feels like. She put her children above everything else. Over money, over her relationship with Donald Trump, over their relationship with their father. Because she wanted them to know the truth. Because in her heart, she didn't see them as adults. She saw them as children. Children who has been traumatized, who have been injured, who has lost their innocence. She feels like it's up to her to help them. Even if it doesn't get through to them, at least she tried. And the last card is the Star card. She tried to tell the equilibrium. So it almost feels like, in a way, Ivana Trump spoke in codes. Like she left clues, if you will. She left clues. She spoke in code. How do we know this? Well, you see her. This is her. And she is pouring the obvious back into the pool of water, which has a lot of water in it already. But here, there's a little bit of water being poured out into the jar, and it goes right back into the pond again. But what you don't realize is that while she's making it obvious that she is pouring water back in here, what she is trying to do behind the scenes is tell you where the connection is. She's not saying follow the river. She said follow the connection that extend far beyond the river. So what does this mean? It means Ivana spoke in codes. She gave the keyword, the blueprint for all the connections. She said, don't follow the pool. Don't follow the Epstein file. Follow what I said, because there's more that what means the eye. The Epstein file is right here. This is what represents the star, the pool of water. But as she poured in this water, although somebody goes back into the Epstein, that's the connection. There's more than what you think it is. So yeah, it does feel like that. She is aware not only of the Epstein files and the thing that he did, but also how far did they go? What are the external connections? That is what I got. So yeah, she knew too much, and they killed her. So yes, but she spoke in code, and she left information, which is probably why Donald Trump was trying to redact her hard evidence, because whatever she provided is so strong, so substantial, it freaked Donald Trump out. You're welcome, Debbie. Will any of his kids do prison time? Now, in the past, I did guess some of them do prison time, but the last time I read on prison for any of them, oh my God, it's been so long, 2023, 2022. So it's been about 3-4 4 years from when I last read on it. So let's see if it's changed. So Spirits and Angels tell me, will any of Donald Trump's kids be in prison, including their husbands or spouses? Will any of their partners or Donald Trump's kids be in jail or do prison time? Honestly, I don't even think they should even see prison, to be honest. I think if anything, they should be guillotined, but that's just my personal opinion. Not what the cards are saying, just obviously just stating that out now. So Spirit Angels tell me, okay, so we have a Tower card here. We have a big, big moment coming. Okay, so it does look like in the future there is going to be a big moment for the Trump children. And also their partners as well, their spouses. Anybody involved is going to do prison time in the Trump family. Just not Trump. Trump is immune to this. Here you have the 10 of Pentacles. The first thing to go will be the money. The money, the connection. It does tell me here that they are going to lose the wealth. So whatever Donald Trump gained under this presidency is not going to be something that remains. There's something that is going to be depleted. It's going to be the first line of attack. So a lot of the prison systems in the future, at least this is taking place in the future, is that they're going to attack via the money. They're going to cut off where the beast is. The beast isn't being fed when there is no money, when there is no flow of income. So they're going to take the retail estate, they're going to take the land, they're going to take the money. There is something that is going to be disconnected. You're going to cut it off from the food stores. That's what it means. The 10 of Pentacles means to cut from the food stores. To cut the monster, cut the food. Right? That is what it's saying here. The first thing they're going to do with prison time for any of these kids and the spouses and partners is to get rid of the will. Get rid of Donald Trump's will. To get rid of his estate. To seize the estate. And also to take his money. And all their money. The next thing is, then the Tower card happened. And the Tower card just simply comes up as an ending, a big sudden shake in the Trump family. It's completely over. The king has been dethroned. So this is going to take time around Donald Trump's end of his presidency or around the death of his life. And that is when it's going to start to begin. The question is, does this take place around the time that he is still president and leaving office, or is it going to take place around the death of his life? And this is the Tower card. Then at the funeral, which is the 5 of Cups, which means many spill, 2 more cups to go. It means they're going to take a lot of heat. A lot of heat is coming their way. So this has actually changed dramatically over 4 years. So yeah, this is actually changed. So their fate has definitely changed. And here you have is the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups means wishful thinking, to believe that you're going to get away with it. Instead, this is reversed. It means with certainty. So will his kids do prison time? Yes. Will they have any money? No. Will they have any inheritance? No. Their life will be turned upside down. So it almost feels like they're going to start to lose money. And this is kind of like, this is my inference here. If the Tower card indicates his death, Donald Trump's death, the President of the United States' death, then this means this is the funeral. But this means that if this is Donald Trump dying here, that means the money starts to deplete, the inheritance, the thing about Donald Trump starts to face punishment by the time he is passing away. Right? Now, hypothetically, the Tower card indicates the presidency, the power, the control. But in this instance, this means it starts to begin before he loses the presidency. The Tower card indicates his death, and the end of the presidency, the funeral happens. So it almost feels like in some way there's a little bit of versatility in terms of what the Tower card could mean. It could be indicating his death, and this happening a little bit before his death, or it means the end of his presidency, what leads to his death, but this is the time frame. It could be either way. And here at the Page of Cups, it just simply means with certainty. So yes, I do think that Donald Trump's kids and their partners are going to do jail time. And it's being clarified by the Hierophant. The Hierophant means the government. It means to control. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it into the live chat now in regards to today's topic. The Hierophant just simply means to me the government. It means no longer in control, that you're no longer able to dictate power in government. And here you have is what's the clarify? What we have here, we have the King of Swords. And the King of Swords falls on top of the government. What does this mean? It means somebody who rules. This is the incumbent. It means a new incumbent, a new leader has taken hold. And they're not messing around. So whatever time frame this happened, right before Donald Trump dies and starts to lose his money and his inheritance and his ability to control things, the King of Swords means that this is a very, very brutal leader. So there's going to be a leader who's going to kind of come about and is going to promise the people to go after people in the Epstein files. This is the King of Swords. This is somebody who seeks justice, but it's not going to be an older male. It's going to be a very young male. Those are going to be kind of like somebody around their 30s and 40s, low 50s, not somebody higher than mid 50s and up. There's going to be somebody very, very young. This is the King of Swords. This is the new government, a new system, a new structure. And here is the 4 swords here. It means the end of the Trump family. It means the end of the dynasty. So Donald Trump is the last one to inherit a dynasty. His children will inherit the collapse of the dynasty. So that is the story of Trump's kids and them possibly facing prison time. This is fantastic. That's all I got to say. It's fantastic in terms of the cards. I'm really, really happy with that result. So, really happy there. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the golf course burial. I really don't know who's buried at the golf course, so it's kind of a blind meeting. I just know that one person is buried at the golf course, and that is Ivana Trump, which is the ex-wife of Donald Trump. That's about as much as I know. I had nobody asked any questions, so it's just all on me today. All right, so Spirit Angels, tell me about the golf course burial. Okay, tell me about the golf course burial. Give me a blind reading on it about the golf course burial in relation to Epstein and Ivana Trump and stuff like that. What was buried in the coffin? Okay, so I'm seeing a letter buried in the coffin with her. Letters, if you will. Like documents, possibly. But there's definitely letters. All right. I'm hearing the word. Oh, it's so disgusting. I'm going to write it for you, but I'm not going to repeat it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to write it in pink. This is what I'm hearing in my, in my right ear. I'm not going to spell the full word because I know that some people do have kids around, but this is really what was written in the letter when they buried her. So there was definitely the sensation that when Ivana was buried, there was a sense of hate. There was definitely a sense of hate. The bottom of the deck is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords means to come very quickly. And here's the stun. I do think that her coffin is going to see the light of day. It almost feels like her coffin is going to be dug up very, very quickly. Something about her burial is going to be dug up. What's behind that? Here's the Hangman reverse. They're going to find out the body's not there. Is her body there? Or is she cremated? I don't know. I don't know how she was buried, but the Hangman is telling me the body's not there. But the symbolic of it showcases that there is something inside that coffin, but it's not her. At the top of the deck, we have the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles means information that she found. Now, the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is why would you take information that could hold you liable and hard evidence that Ivana Trump found on you? Why would you put it in a coffin? Why wouldn't you just burn it? Right? It just doesn't seem like the criminals are very bright. Or are they? And this is the Eight of Pentacles, followed by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the Nine of Wands. It almost feels like there is some sort of struggle here. Maybe they're hiding a murder weapon or like what they used to hurt her. But that's what it feels like. Then let's talk about the golf course burial. We have the first card here, which means the Hermit. Right, these are the first two cards that come in, the Hermit and the Queen of Pentacles. Right, she found the money. Because remember early in the video, we talked about how as she was divorcing Donald Trump, and it began at the divorce between Donald Trump and Ivana Trump, that she wanted to know where Donald Trump got the money. She never questioned it during the marriage, but as she was divorcing him, she started to wonder where the money actually came from. And as she got deeper and deeper and more involved and more engaged in connecting the dots, she became more of a liability. She became more dangerous. That she had hard evidence. Almost like in a way that she is considered a conspiracy theorist, is what I would probably put. Because the way that she thinks, the way her mindset is that like I see her on a wall, and she had all these pictures and newspapers, new articles. You just see like yellow swing, and they're like all trying to make sense of the story and the connection. That is what I'm seeing for Ivana. Like Ivana knew stuff. She looked at the information. She looked at the money. She saw the money trail, and she was getting too close. She was about to see the light. And in essence, the light was the truth, but also it means that she got too close to the story. She got too close. And here the Hermit card is she had the Ten of Pentacles reversed. The Ten of Pentacles reversed underneath the Hermit card means that she almost revealed the family's secrets. Right? She revealed the family's secrets. That's the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Underneath her, what she was trying to find the financial aspect of the family is how they received the money. And I think this one is about to become really dark. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning. This is my warning to you. Okay, so according to that card I just got, the Five of Wands here, you want to have part of the money, where the money came from. Just think, where do you think the money came from? It's not from the deal, it's not from any of that. It came from victims. They got the money from victims. Because, first of all, they took the money from those victims. They had to erase their entire life. And so what I'm getting is that Ivana Trump realized that this money was not clean, but it wasn't clean it wasn't like dirty money in terms of like, fraud and stuff. It was dirty money in the sense that they stole the money from victims that they themselves injured or stole or, trafficked, whatever it is. Some of these victims lost all their wealth, and it was assumed by the Trump family. It was assumed by the Kushner family. That's why for entertainment, educational purposes only, that is what the cards are saying, is that she got too close when she came to this revelation that there was more to the story than what meets the eye, and that's how she came to the conclusion that Donald Trump is not a good man. She knew who Donald Trump was towards the end of her life. She didn't know who Donald Trump was, which is why she was kind of kept in the dark about it. She was not even aware of it until she started questioning it. And underneath this Hermit card and the Ten of Pentacles, it also follows with the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles means loss of control. It means loss of control. The Four of Pentacles means where the money went. She has evidence that where all these money went and how they achieved it. And this is going to be probably the most hardest thing for Donald Trump, because if it's not in the government already, it's going to give hard, concrete evidence that they wrecked Donald Trump to the victims. That's the thing that Donald Trump is worried about, is the hard evidence, the hard fact that, this is connected to this. And you can say that this is just an accusation, that, this person could just say, I S8 them, and there's no legitimate proof. But the hard fact is the financial transfers. That's the connection. That's the key. And she had it. That was the biggest threat, and that's why Donald Trump had to get rid of her. And that's what the cards say. Very, very different than what I thought. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, something was put in the casket a while back. Heard that she was cremated. She was supposedly cremated. Okay. But the coffin was so heavy, there's suspicion about what was in it. Hello, the warrior. How are you? I hope she haunts Trump. Actually, believe it or not, she is actively engaged in protecting her children. Believe it or not, she is so actively engaged in trying to convince them that their father is evil, that she is doing the work beyond the grave. And that was a video that I did back in 2024 on Ivana. But she was doing the work. Okay, no worries, the warrior. All right, so spiritual angels, tell me about Ivana Trump. Was Ivana Trump cremated? Was Ivana Trump cremated? Yes or no? I don't see any fire, but that's not really necessary. Okay, so we have the 8 pentacles. We're asking if Ivana Trump was cremated or was she buried physically. And here is the 4 cups. She did not want to be cremated. So if she was forced to be cremated, it's not something that she agreed to. It was not in her will. This is the 8 of pentacles. We have the Page of Cups. This means definite. It means yes. It means with certainty. The middle card in the center means no. It means no. So right now we're at a maybe. And then we also have here is yes, they stole it, or no, they didn't. This is reverse. I'm getting an indication right now that it is neither true. Neither the burial was done, and neither was the what to call it, the cremation done. It almost feels like there was. I'm seeing like maybe possibly it could be like cryogenics, or it could be her being shipped out to another location. But it doesn't look like she was cremated or buried in the U.S. Hello, warrior. How was that? I'm surprised you even managed to do all that in 15 minutes. We also have here as well as we have the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands reverse. We're asking whether or not, Ivana Trump was cremated or buried. And so underneath the Page of Cups reverse, we have the 4 of Cups. The 4 of Wands reverse as well. And then we followed here with the Yes card being the Ace of Cups. And then we have the Ace, the 8 of Swords. Interesting. And you notice how they all have the same cards? We have Sword. We have here Wands, Cups, right? But the cup and the wand is different. The cup means yes. The wand for me means no. But this means restriction. It means to dictate. It means to either the force. I don't think she was cremated. I don't even think she was buried, at least in the U.S. So let me ask Spirit another question. Let me ask, was she shipped out to be buried somewhere else? Was Ivana Trump shipped out? Was Ivana Trump shipped out of the country to be buried elsewhere or to be cremated elsewhere? Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups. That's a yes. So yeah, she was shipped out of the U.S. or was cremated, either way. Just as I thought. Okay, so the first card that came in the past is that we have the ship, the boat. This is the 6 of Swords. She was shipped out of the country. So her corpse, her dead body, was privately escorted out of the country. Now, I want to know why. Were they trying to hide the wound? Were they trying to cover up? But would it not leave you exposed to how the person died? But I think I understand, because I'm seeing an image in my third eye right now of how it happened. So I'm getting like those shipping boxes. You know the shipping boxes containers when they have like what do you call like expensive like paintings or expensive artifacts? You ever seen like a Night at the Museum? You know like how they're in the back and they have everything stored into like this big fluffy wooden container, and everything is stored and everything's like fragile. That's what I'm seeing her body stuffed into. It's not stuffed into a coffin. It's stuffed inside a shipping cartridge for antique items. Now, this might be a little bit strange, but I wouldn't put it past them that if she wasn't cremated and she wasn't buried, and it doesn't look like I'm seeing a sensation of coldness around her, because it doesn't look like it's fresh, I wonder if she was taxidermied. Like, where her body was stuffed, everything was externally taken out and then like preserved and then was stuffed with like filling. I wonder if that's like something that they do because that's like what I'm getting. I'm getting like this this feeling in that way. And you just asked about like maybe possibly being shipped back to Czechoslovakia. That's also very possible. We're gonna ask that in a moment. But I almost feel like it wasn't a burial and it wasn't cremation. I want to know how else did they bury the dead in Czech. That might give us a clear indicator about the tradition over there. But going back into the reading, because we're asking about like, was she possibly shipped out of the country? Here's the Ace of Cups here. It means an absolute yes. And it has to do with religion. It has to do with religion here. And we also have here, we have the high priestess, which means that her body was dictated. There was something there. It was something like an agreement. This is the high priestess underneath the Ace of Cups, followed by the Nine of Pentacles, which means flourishing, money, goodwill. It almost feels like she's in a better place, but it's also not. It just feels like, now, if you look at this woman very closely, now this is a woman at peace, right? Now, this could be what indicating what life is like for Ivana Trump beyond, the grave. But this could also be like where her body is. Like, you haven't noticed like this woman, like you don't see women dressed like this, but you want to know who you see women like this dressed as? Antiques, museums, artifacts. It almost feels like the House of Wax story came to life. It's kind of like what it feels like. It feels like she was being used as a pose. And I feel like they feel like that's a form of disrespect and a punishment for her not resting after death. Because, like sometimes it does feel like, you shouldn't have an easy death. The body should be exposed and publicly displayed. I do feel that, there is a sensation here that there wasn't a burial. And not saying that she's alive. She's definitely 100% dead. That's not what I'm even considering about. But it's how her body was being used. Okay, so Spirit Angels tell me, was it possible that she was shipped back to Czechoslovakia? What I assume is probably where she came. Was Ivana Trump shipped from Czechoslovakia? It seems very uncertain. It doesn't look like a yes, and it doesn't look like a no. Here is the Queen of Pentacles. She was shipped somewhere, but it was like she was shipped for money. Like her body was used for money afterwards. This is the Queen of Pentacles. Someone paid. So there was a transaction that happened after her death. This is the Magician. Somebody said, I'm going to offer you this. But it also feels like it was a deal. Like her body needed to be given to this person. Like somebody had a deal on her body afterwards. So it's like a pre-hand murder, but it was like them betting and like paying for this person. So, oh, okay, when that person dies, I want their body. It's almost like that's what it feels like. And that could explain the display, like the mannequin type rhetoric, the House of Wax type behavior. The top is like it's the devil to contain. Now you kind of see here like these people are kind of like oppressed and kind of chained up, and you kind of see their bodies pretty much positioned in a very specific way. They're kind of like naked and stuff like that. But it also means that because they are positioned in a very specific way, that they're almost looking like statues. I mean, look at the female. Look at her hand. She is positioned like a statue. So it almost feels like in some way it makes me think like, is she like being positioned in a way where somebody like makes her, naked, and like they thrive off the idea of having like naked people in the house instead of getting like, back in the day during the Greeks where they have like Roman statues and Greek statues of people in marble. This is like their version of it. And instead of like a marble, they want the physical version. Like kind of like the House of Wax type situation. It's like really disgusting when I'm even listening to. But that's like how I'm describing it. And here's the King of Wands. This means somebody had their eye on her. This is somebody who wanted her. So we're asking, was she shipped back to Czech? Not necessarily. Was she in the area when she was shipped? She was within the Eastern European region, yes. She was shipped over there, but wasn't really exactly in Czechoslovakia. We do have here, as well as you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth cup reverse. The sixth of cup reverse is indicating something very, very clearly. This means the future, not the past. So something in the future in regards to her shipment and the Wheel of Fortune means that she's going to actually make her way back somewhere, which means that the owner is going to give her up. So her body, her structure is going to cause some sort of chaos. It does feel like there's a Wheel of Fortune. It means that the owner no longer wants her. They're going to relinquish her body. It's almost like when somebody receives an antique painting and then there's many owners of the antique painting. It almost feels like it's going to be going to a new owner. But possibly it could get caught on camera, it could get shown, stuff like that. Now underneath this past card here, the future card, we have a Tower card, which means something's going to come out. And it looks like it's going to come out pretty relatively soon rather than not. Now, I said this many times before, Ivana Trump is very key to the connection between Donald Trump and victims. It's going to connect them financially, and that's really where it's going to hurt Donald Trump, and that's what Donald Trump is fearing, because she was the one who investigates. Now, the Tower card underneath the future card means that we're going to be in this future very soon. Right now, Ivana Trump's body is in the hands of somebody in particular who paid for her body. And here you have it, the Queen of Wands, which falls atop of the Tower, the future, and the past, which means that not only are we going in the future, we're also going in the past. So in the future, they're going to be talking about the past. What happened to Ivana Trump? So something's going to come out about her body, and more specifically, what happened to the body of those victims. It doesn't seem to be just Ivana. Ivana Trump is going to be the well-known, notable one, but there's going to be many of people with their bodies in the hands of this specific person. And then here we also have the Two of Pentacles. This person is going to make a decision soon whether or not they're going to relinquish ownership of Ivana Trump's body. But that's what I'm getting. This is really a very, very bizarre reading. This is definitely very strange. I don't know if that's worse than what they said. Like they just said on the Epstein file, there was a statement that was put out that people said that baby tastes like cream cheese. What? So I don't know if this is 100% worse than that, but it's definitely up there in terms of beyond psychotic. This is definitely beyond psychotic. Okay, again, like I couldn't have known this because this video is just for entertainment purposes only and educational purposes only. I don't really know how this could be educational, but yeah. All right, so what's the question here? He could have done it as he got an exemption on the land by having a graveyard, I think, so that they could bury bodies on the ground without the authority knowing if something was exposed. Could have done it if he got exemption on the land by having a graveyard. That's interesting. Isn't the burial like in Scotland? Or am I wrong? Or was it like in the US where she was buried? I kind of want to know. Where she was buried. At least supposedly. But yeah. Where was Ivana Trump buried? Okay, so she was actually the Trump National Golf Course in Bedminster, New Jersey. Now, she was laid to rest in July 2022. What's interesting is that when I did the video back in 2024 about the, what to call it, about the United States and Donald Trump and the relationship between Ivana and how she's going to try to get Ivanka Trump to turn over in the spiritual world. We talked about that. And what was inside the coffin, a little bit more specifically, it's not as dark as this specific video. That video, I posted a picture on the thumbnail of like a coffin, and it was like a whole bunch of files inside the coffin being washed ashore near the White House, and it was going to have a skeleton coming out kind of thing. Well, after that video was posted, about 2 days later, there was a news report from NBC that a coffin would arrived around Bedminster, New Jersey, very close to the White House. I think I might be wrong. It could be Virginia as well. Let me go ahead. Let me just pull that up for you, just so you can kind of see that. Coffin arrived to shore. Oh, Compton watched a short. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to find it right now. It's like NBC. Coffin with the skeleton believed 100-year-old check the peak. Okay, so this was published on November the 20th, 2024. You can kind of see coffin with human skeleton believed to be 100 years old, found at Chesapeake Bay, which I don't know where that bay is, but there is definitely the coffin. I'm going to see if I can find a photo for you guys just so you guys can see it. So this is what it looks like. This was the coffin. So this is the coffin. You can kind of see it dated November 21st, 2024. We know they came out in November 20th. So let me just show you guys the Ivana video so you guys can see it. How you spell that, Ivana? Ivanna. Gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna look up Ivanka. Apparently YouTube is blocking that video now because I can't even see it. Okay. Here it is. Ironically, it's dated the same day, November 20th, 2024. So that was like a connection. I was doing that video early. But anyway, besides the point, that's where we were at. So we already talked about Ivana Trump, about what happened to her, what did she find. We talked about the golf course burial. Kinda, mostly for the most part. The children buried. Let's talk about those. That's the big one. The big one, the children buried. I think if I'm correct, please correct me if this is wrong or not. Wasn't there was some claim that children were buried in Mar-a-Lago? I'm gonna like investigate anyway, but I'm just curious. So, Spirit Angels, tell me, were there children buried in Mar-a-Lago? No, no. Here we have is the seven of Pentacles. I'm hearing the word too obvious. This is the seven of Pentacles. There's like one that is buried, but it's not multiple that are buried. There seems to be an external graveyard, but it's not something that's inside Mar-a-Lago. So no. But there is one specific victim that is buried at Mar-a-Lago. So yes, that is partly true. I'm hearing the word under flowers. I don't know if he has a flower bed, but it could be under flowers. And then here is the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups means to extract the bodies out of Mar-a-Lago. So no, they're not. The children are not buried in Mar-a-Lago. So no. Here's the death. So the death was transferred out. So they were done outside of Mar-a-Lago. They did not occur in Mar-a-Lago. They occurred externally. So they did not die at Donald Trump's home. Here's the Knight of Wands. Why did he do it? Because the Knight of Wands simply means he did not want the children to haunt the home. So he had to do it externally. This is the Six of Pentacles. He was afraid that they're going to seek justice beyond the grave. So that's partly why. Now we have here, we asked a little bit more specifically, are children buried in Donald Trump's graveyard? We know one of them is. Here we have the Three of Pentacles, the Three of Cups reversed. This tells me no. Like immediately a no. Then it's followed up by the Moon, which means to cover up, to hide something, to bury something. It's the Moon card. This means no. No, because I'm also seeing that like it's bad because like I don't know where Mar-a-Lago is, but it almost feels like when natural disasters happen, it runs the risk of the bodies floating out of the ground, especially newly buried bodies. I'm always seeing like I'm getting the sensation. I'm seeing them in my third eye right now. It's like they just bury something and a storm comes, and then the storm just washes the body up and it floats and it starts floating around. That's what it feels like, and it feels like it almost feels like they're looking at the environmental risk and the risk of possibly getting caught. And here you have it, the Three of Swords reversed. The Three of Swords reversed is they don't want to be risk. They don't want to take that risk. This is the Three of Wands reverse. I mean, Three of Swords reverse. Excuse me. Oh my God. But the Three of Swords is telling me they don't want to betray and they don't want to get caught. Here in the Seven of Wands, they don't want people to know where these children are. Because they know that there's going to be some big backlash and big pushback. But putting them in a place where nobody cares to even look, well, that's the most dangerous of them all. Is putting the kids and the bodies of these children in places where people don't think to look, or where they don't care enough to look. So something that is obvious in terms of burial site, but a place where no one ever thinks to look. And it's not a mountain, and not a mountain. It's not a forest. It's not a factory. It's something that is obvious, but no one ever questioned to look further. That's where the bodies are. Did I read all the cards here? I did, okay. Okay, and then here you want to know where the children buried at a ranch. We can absolutely ask that. Spirits and angels tell me where the children buried at a ranch, possibly, by Debbie. I'm actually surprised some of the people in the previous live asking about this stuff are not even here. That's okay, but I'm just curious because I really want to answer their question. But I guess, there'll be a time for it eventually when they come out and about it. And I'm sure there's going to be a day and a time where they do act. But we have the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles is simply indicating you're looking at the optics, you're looking at the children, the bodies. There is one buried there. There's not many. So no. So were the children buried at the ranch? Yes and no. Yes and no. There's one buried, not many. Again, like I said earlier, the children are going to be in an area where it's so obvious, but no one cares to look. That's where the buried are. So I almost feel like we already know that there's one buried in Mar-a-Lago. Only one. There's another one buried in the ranch. And I think I know why there's only one in each location. And here's why. Because by burying one, anybody who threatens to oppose you or try to resist, all you have to do is take those kids and take them to the grave sites of those people and say, this will be you if you don't comply. So it would make a lot of sense theoretically if you're trying to imitate control and to try to get the kids to be in a state of fear where they are unlikely to submit. You would do that by just making sure that there's one body in one location so that there's always accountability for that specific victim. Or, in that case, many victims. So it does feel like that is why. So there's one in Mar-a-Lago, there's one in the ranch. Again, this video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. And then the next card is Judgment. This is the call. So the ranch is not really a place where they murder kids. It's more so it's the place where they make kids a cult. That's what it feels like. The Judgment card is telling me here that these are where the kids' mindset comes to play. The ranch is giving me education. It's giving me schooling. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, great, so they were giving the kids school and, education. No, it's not exactly what you're thinking. Now, this type of education I'm getting in terms of the Judgment card is telling me that these specific people were engaged in activities where they were trying to see and test, okay, if this kid could be an asset, can I make this kid become mine? Can I do like a Carolyn Levitt? Can I make her have a very attractive personality? Is she going to be able to be submissive to me? Is she going to follow what I tell her? So almost like the ranch is more of a grooming section and an educational school where they try to see, okay, are these kids considered valuable to me, an accident, or are they, a liability, and just push them away and send them in different directions. So it's almost like these are where all these victims go. They go to this type of ranch, and the ranch determines where each child goes to. They separate them based off of who is valuable in the essence of can keep this going long term, and who is not valuable, and who is a liability and a risk, and to get them to be eliminated. And then also, there's a third one, who is attractive in the third wing, who is the one that they can abuse and take advantage of. and those are the victims in the center. So they're all victims, but they're all in different categories. They're the ones who can be taken advantage of. They're the victims in the center, and then there are on the left side a whole bunch of kids who are considered liabilities. So they were looking at the ranch as a way to separate and to kind of see who is going to help perpetuate this thing further. And then you go into the Emperor card, and the Emperor card means control. It means to dominate, to give this empty promise of, you can achieve everything as long as you follow us. This is the Emperor card. This is the creator of the people, to create them into monsters. So this was like a network of the monster, like the monster high essentially is what this is. But not everybody gets accepted. And that was by design. So the emperor essentially is supposed to make these kids be separated into these groups. And also to make these kids more likely to have a blood oath, they need to take the kids that were accepted who are an asset. They have to prove that they are an asset to the people, and they had to go after the victim. They had to go after these other group of people who are a liability and to basically essentially hurt them. So not only are these people engaging in behavior that, are evil in this likeness, but they also engage in these people to be dark in the soul. Because the more dark thing, the more bad things you do, the darker your soul gets. And so in order to darken a child's soul, you need to make them do bad things. And that is partly why Jared Kushner has such a dark soul, is because he engaged in similar activities. He was considered an asset, not a liability. He was not considered a victim. He was considered an asset. And sometimes the victims afterwards have to choose, do you want to be an asset or do you want to become a liability? And that's kind of like the divergence here. So there's 3 subgroups, but then the victims have to end up choosing based off the trauma of the kids. Do you want to keep continuing with the trauma, or do you want to give in to the system? And that's kind of like how it is. That's how they're pumping it out one by one. So I hope that was able to answer your question a little bit more specifically. Were the children buried at the ranch? Only one. Only one. So we still don't know where the bodies are. But the only thing we know is that it's in an obvious place, but a place where no one ever cares to look. And what would be that place? And I'm just telling you guys now, and I'm just thinking, it's just popped in my head. What is the most obvious place for a burial, but it's a place where no one ever cares to look? And you ready? Ready for this? A gravesite. If you wanted to hide evidence of you hurting somebody, the best place to hide the evidence will be in a gravesite. Because it's out in the open, it's obvious, but no one ever cares to look. Because you don't see people going to the gravesite and digging up bodies, now do they? So how would they look? They'll see a freshly new mound of dirt and they wouldn't even question it. The same thing. The same exact thing. The most obvious place where all these children are buried are alongside other people in a gravesite. And the only way to test this to see if it's true is if you can find the actual gravesite and have a psychic medium who can actually heal children. Maybe, just maybe, you might be able to figure out where the children are. He said 1. What about the young lady that was unalived? Nicety. Who is the young lady, or where is that young lady? Because all I said is just 1. So it could have been her. I don't know necessarily where she died or who this person is, but I can read on this person, but I had no idea. I have no context here. So I'll read on that, but that's as much as I know. What about the young women and ladies and teenagers who were unalived? Where were they killed or unalived, essentially? Now, this is like a murder victory, like really murder victory. This is kind of like what it feels like. Oh, they were poisoned. Yeah, they were poisoned. They had no idea. And by the time they realized, it was too late. And I think I understand why. I think I understand why they poisoned these girls. Remember how we talked about earlier in the video how Ivana, and after her death, they essentially, I couldn't see a burial. I couldn't see a cremation for her, and her body was being shipped out to somebody, and they kind of like did like a taxidermy or a type of house of wax type scenario. Um, for the ladies who were also unalived, there is value in the human body. There is value in the corpse. It's based off of what I'm getting in the cards. I don't really know if this is true or not, but I'm just telling you what I'm getting. So I hope that, this makes sense to you, because I am trying to grapple with some of the vocabulary here that they're trying to describe to me. So I'm doing my very best. But essentially, what I'm getting is that there's value in a lot of these women's bodies after death. Not when they're alive, but after death. So there's a commodity here. It's almost like the bodies are considered a currency, if you will. And what I'm getting is that essentially, because we're asking about what are the young ladies who are unalive, and if all the women, or even the men, is that what essentially they're doing is that they are trying to reserve the bodies in the best form and way they died, but also not in a way that shows a wound, anything like that. You don't want to tell the new owner how the person passed. Instead, you want to make it feel as if they're lifelike and they're still alive in some way. So, as messed up as that seems, it does seem like poison would be the best option for a lot of these girls, especially when they're trying to sell them as a commodity, not only before their death, which would be using them, but also afterwards as well. They does feel like they're using them as a commodity. And so you're also asking, there were very young ladies that were unalived with the Epstein file. They were connected with both men. That's also what I felt. Yeah, okay. So you felt like what I've been reading? Is that what you're telling me? Because we have here, when we start to ask about, the young ladies and being unalive, we have the Knight of Pentacles, which means that they were given an offer. There was something here, and it looks like a tray, whether there's food or not, but it doesn't look like it's food. It looks like it's liquid. It looks like it's a drink. And they were giving it to them as a drink. A drug, if you will. And that's what it feels like. And here it is that the women are just, they don't really suspect anything. So I feel like animals were involved in this area, or like something that distracts these women into thinking that they're in a better place. So essentially, what am I getting? Well, I'm getting a lot of these women, they go through a lot of this abuse, right? They're going through a lot of this abuse. And again, this is a trigger. This video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. That the Knight of Pentacles is telling me with an offer, which is the Pentacle, and the Strength card, it means that they are being abused heavily. And as they start to go through the death phase and they start to reach their death, they don't know this yet. What is happening is that I'm seeing that somebody comes in and becomes the hero. And she takes them. So there's got to be a woman who takes all these people and starts to show them how good life is. They feed them and they clothe them. And, they make them have like this sense of denialism, that life is getting better, that they're protected, somebody understands them. You almost feel like I wonder if it's like Ghislaine Maxwell who's playing the mother person or the person who cares about them, and I know what this is like. I've been through this, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ghislaine Maxwell uses her victim story with her father to try to get in a very vulnerable state where a lot of these girls and men who were being SA'd and victimally traumatized, and this is supposed to let them lower their guard down, because a lot of these people who have been SA'd, they wouldn't accept something externally. So for example, if somebody gives them a drink or food, they wouldn't take it because they know what could possibly happen to them. And so this is a liability for them, especially if they had clients lining up to buy that specific body, right, or to buy the host, essentially. And so the Knight of Pentacles is giving the opportunity to this person to lower their guard by making friends with them and befriending them and talking to them about your experiences and you talking about your victimhood experiences. But, it's oftentimes more than that. Sometimes the victim becomes the demon, right? The same thing. I mean, look at what's happening in Israel right now. What happened to Israel back in the 1930s is now flipped on its head. Now they're doing the same thing Germany did. So again, the victim is also saying that sometimes not all victims ever have good intention. Not saying that all of them do, but some of them are actually evil. They embody that darkness. They embody that evilness. And Ghislaine Maxwell will be that person who embodies that sense of evil. And that's why the Strength card is here. So while there is vulnerable and they're not paying attention, somebody's coming in to offer them something to drink. and that is poison. And it's the way to preserve the body. But by adding food into the body, it prolongs the process for the person who collects them, the person who wants them to be fully preserved. And having food in the system negates the process for the poison to work as effective. So that means that these girls are very, very sick upon death and very skinny. And here you have it, the king of stores. The king of stores is the person. Now we're asking about what happened to the ladies who were unalived and stuff like that. Well, this card means the structure. It means that they're alive up until the person buys them. And underneath the Knight of Pentacles and the Strength card, we have the Eight of Cups. So how do I know that they were shipped out? They were sent to an undisclosed location. So what happened is that they get abused in this area, and then they transfer those people to a new area where they start to die, right? Where they don't know they're dying yet. They get sent to a nice area that's beautiful and loving, and they give this false sense of illusion that everything's okay. But that's how you know you're dying. It's almost like when things start to feel like heaven. When they start to see the light, that's kind of like what it feels like. Then everything starts to become lighted, and oh, I'm not going to be abused anymore. But what they don't realize is that that is just because they're trying to feed the host to get you in a better state so you become desirable after your death. And here you have it eventually after you reach that point and you start to become very vulnerable and they offer you the drink. Here, what's it falls underneath the Eight of Cups and the Strength card, which is your vulnerability. Even though the Strength is upright, sometimes your strength could be vulnerability. And here you have it, the Death card, but after you drink it, the death is here, you're dead. And then here's the King of Swords, which means somebody buys you, and now you are a pose. You are a mannequin. You are somebody who they deem could be done with whatever, that you can be dressed up as. I do see like these people, these victims are being used in, and I know this is really messed up, but it does also feel like they're being used in like museums. They're used in movies. They're used as props. As like the House of Wax is, it feels very much like they're being used as cosplay characters, which just basically means that people are just being dressed up. And the top of the deck here is the Four of Pentacles reversed. The Four of Pentacles reversed means disconnect. It means disconnected. And what are they disconnected from? The devil. They think that they are safe, but that's their vulnerability, the thought that you think you're safe, right? The disconnect from the devil. And the bottom of the deck here is the Two of Pentacles. What happened to the ladies? They had to make a choice. Do you go with the chip or do you flee? And many of them didn't even know that they had to flee because they got brought into the false illusion that things are okay. And therefore, the King of Wands, the one who brought them, they won. I'm hearing the word Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa was a king back in Africa who was very, very wealthy. So they lost to wealth. They lost to the billionaire class. And Taurus said, I believe you, but I'm also horrified. I'm equally horrified as well. But just know that these girls are in a better place. At least they can no longer be abused. Yes, their bodies will be tormented and stuff like that. I completely agree. But at least these girls, these souls, are free. That's the good thing. That's the best thing that we can hope for, is the hope that they're free and that they're not being held down. Yes, there is some sort of satanic, occult-like mindset here, but for some of the girls, that wasn't the case. There was blatant murder. There was blatant attempt to do all this stuff. But for some girls, they were not meant to be held down. Some people's spirits are tied down, and that was part of that control to keep drawing energy from the metaphysical. But for some of these girls, they're completely okay. So it's kind of 50-50, but some of these girls did pass on. So that's a good thing. But some of them, they're being drained even beyond death, and that's why their bodies are being propped up the way they are. That's why they were using Ivana Trump, and that's why Ivana Trump is so very much prevalent. Ivana Trump knows what's happening, but remember, a mother's love supersedes everything else. And because Ivana Trump's love for her children is so very much prevalent, even when talking to Ivanka Trump, it's able to supersede some of the horrors that they're doing to her body. And because of that, Ivana Trump is able to pass on after she knows her children are safe. So even though they're using that as a liability to contain or to restrict her, Ivana Trump is going to be okay, at least beyond the grave. Now, I know Debbie asked, did they do stuff with animals? To be honest, I'm really generally, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm generally scared to touch this specific topic, at least in regard to animals. I can ask about it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I am mortified what I'm gonna find out if I even ask this question. So I'm gonna let the chat, you know, let me know now. Do you want me to read on this specific thing? Do you want me to read what if they did anything to animals? Because I am on the fence here and I cannot make a decision if I should or should not. So let me know in the comment section. Hello, Aline. How are you, my love? I'm glad to see you too. There was an article that came out about a young man reported missing years ago whose body showed up at a museum. Oh, oh. Um, that is rather concerning. Okay, so everybody said no, so we are not going to ask about the animals. I personally do not want to know if they're going to do anything to animals because, like, you know how I read very detailed, I read very much in tuned. You know how like most people who read tarot cards, they read it, but they like only tell you like whatever the cards mean. I read like in detail, and I don't want to know what happened to these animals. I'd rather just be ignorant in that aspect because I love animals, and that would just like make me very upset. Like humans, I love them, but it's easier to handle a human death than it is to handle an animal death. I hope that's okay, Debbie. Okay, good. I'm glad that you understand. I kind of want to test this guy out. I want to see if this young man who was reported missing years ago, whose body showed up at a museum, if this is any way related. Just curiosity here. Okay. So Spirit Angels tell me it's this young man who was supposedly reported, not supposedly, but who definitely reported missing, and years ago, whose body showed up at a museum. It isn't any way related to what I talked about. Is there a article that came out about a young man reported missing years ago, whose body showed up at a museum? Was it? I don't know if you know. What's it call it? What's it call it? About these people, like was it like a historical museum? 'Cause I'm seeing like history. It's almost like they were like a Roman or they were like a Greek or something like that. They were definitely ancient culture, but they were represented in ancient time. Was this museum that they were found in, was this person body in a historical museum more specifically? We have the Three of Wands here, which simply indicate that this person has some sort of historical ties. Not directly, but it's almost like they picked their victims also based off of like who they think would best play the historical figure of the time. So that's what it feels like. This is the Three of Wands here. It feels like they were dressed up as a historical figure, specifically a Roman or a Greek or even Egyptian. Then we also have here in the centers, we have the Four of Cups. And the Four of Cups being upright indicated that, you know, they were just randomly gifted. They're going to say that this person was just randomly gifted to them. They had no idea. This man randomly pooped up out of nowhere. Okay, so if you said this young man was a black man, was it possible that this person could have been Mansa Musa or was like King Tuckerman or something like that? Because that would make a lot of sense to the historical Asian part of that story that they propped up this baby, like propped up this individual in a museum. Which is very disgusting. I'm even surprised that this is even real. Because like, you know, this was just me reading whatever I get in the cards, and the fact that this is legit is a little bit more concerning, at least to me. Okay, so yeah, so they were dressed up as an Asian person. So were they dressing up as King Tut or Mansa Musa? Because that would be interesting if they're Mansa Musa, since I mentioned it in the video as like, you know, for this specific reading. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for you, but let me just pull up the question again for anybody who's just joining. So we have this for cups here. For a cup means like they just gonna say the museum are gonna say, oh well, this person just randomly showed up, but that's not true. Again, this video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. This person did not just randomly show up. There is connections here, but they're refusing to hand over that connection. But it's also being used as, and I'm gonna say this, and I say this in the most utmost respect for this individual whose body is being displayed, is that although the museum is lying about the origin of this specific individual and this museum prop, the Four of Cups is telling me that it was also to send a message to somebody. So them using this young boy was to send a message to somebody. It was a message. It was a warning. I am unsure, but he did not have a shirt on, and then I clicked off of it. That's fine. That's fine. So he had a shirt off. So it's probably Egyptian if I had a bet on it. But if he was Egyptian, he could have either been King Tut or a slave. Right? Did they have slaves in Egypt? I know they did. I don't know who exactly what race was slave, but I don't know. But it could have been that. That would explain the shirtless thing. And then here we have is the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is telling me there's more than one on display. That there's more than one body at this museum. I would not be surprised. By any chance, do you have the museum name? I just want to look up right after this if there's any more bodies or anything scandal that came out about this specific museum. Oh, yes, a slave. So they made him a slave. That's disgusting. Okay. And then here is the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is just simply saying that there is more than one. This is not just the incident at this specific museum. There is more than one. Yeah, if you don't mind finding it, I'm gonna try to see if I can find it too. But yeah. So this is what the Nine of Cups mean. It means that there's more than one in this museum, and so it doesn't necessarily connect. But it wouldn't be surprised if this was a message for what they want to do. So it almost like, what does that mean? It means that essentially, like this could be an off chance that maybe they could have texted this out and said, hey, listen, maybe you could take someone's child, make them go missing, and then put them on display and see if anybody noticed. And if they notice, that's great. That's the message. The message gets sent directly. And that's what it feels like. It feels like that's what that is. It feels like they would imagine it. This was a testing run. So the black guy who was unfortunately killed and was displayed at the museum as a slave, it feels like this was the first test run to see what the people at play think about that idea about putting people in museums and stuff like that on display. So that's what I'm getting. But I'm gonna just quickly read on the connection to see if there's a connection between the two. What we've talked about earlier about the House of Wax and the victims of the girls and stuff, and also about this specific young man who unfortunately was displayed at a museum, is there a direct correlation between the two? Or are they both separate incidents and one inspired the other? We have Justice card. This is display. This is literally on display. This is literally theater. We have here the Knight of Wands. This is the Knight of Wands. This is in the past tense. We're asking about, and here's the Justice card. Okay. So Justice falls underneath. So this is hidden money. The display for hidden money of individuals. And here is the Five of Swords. Not them being able to walk away. They can't get up and move. So displaying individuals who cannot move, who are inanimate, if you will, because they're dead. And this is the Justice card. The Justice card is positioning them in high position of power, or better yet, positioning them in a way where people can see them on display. This is the Justice card. This is the glass case. And here is the Knight of Wands, which means them moving away, which means to step away. So it almost feels like in some way that some of these people were transitioned over, which means that some of the people in this museum were switched out so repetitively, so constantly, that no one ever noticed and never took note that was actually human that was on display. And that's why the young man who was there who was on display, which might have been the only incident because they didn't swish him out fast enough, and he was in there too long. And that's what the justice card is. This is the six pentacles. He didn't get brought out the way others did. So it's almost like it's a display piece for people in the museum to go and look for historical accuracy, but it does feel like for other people who have a lot of money and wealth, it's a shopping experience for them. So at a museum for like normal people like me and you, it's just looking at history and stuff like that. For rich people, it's looking at a shopping experience and see what you want to buy, what you don't want to buy. That's what it feels like. And here you have is the Five of Swords reverse. The Five of Swords reverse means this person's literally inanimate. So yeah, this is not the only one, and there is a definitive connection between the two. What's the bottom of the deck here? We have the death card. That's the connection, is the death. And what's the top? We have the Three of Cups reversed. It's the poison. The poison chalice. There's more to the story than what meets the eye, the Wheel of Fortune. I would not be surprised if the story about the guy comes out and it connects everything else to all this. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's the case. Okay. I saw on YouTube today, ironically, what you were talking about today. Oh, really? Okay, that's confirmation, but also very concerning. What you revealed about the human is plenty to process. Yeah, my fault because I am so highly detailed. That's also pretty bad. I had enough when I heard puppies about Shasha Riley. That's why I can't listen to Shasha Riley. I just can't do it. I love my puppies, and I just can't, any capacity, listen to that. She and Ghislaine were buddies. Who exactly? I don't know who. Oh, okay. I guess you guys are having private conversations. Is there any way to watch Ikra from hearing these things? Yeah, actually there is. I'm gonna do a meditation here. Let's do a final closing meditation. How about that? Let's do some cleansing energy just so you guys feel good. I feel good. We all cleanse the negative energy out of it because it's disgusting. Okay. You ready? I want you to step back. I want you to relax. I just want you to imagine light and positivity. Imagine light and positivity. I want you to kind of like sit back for a second, lay back down, close your eyes, breathe in, hold it, hold it. Now slowly exhale. Breathe in, hold it, hold it. Now slowly exhale. Now breathe in, hold it, hold it. Now slowly exhale. Now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think of and try to imagine, if you're able to imagine, something that makes you happy. Whether it's sitting down at the dinner table, eating your favorite food, whether it means sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce, playing with puppies, whatever it is, whatever makes you happy, I just want you to imagine that. And as I start to ring the meditation sound, you're going to get a message from the other side. You're going to receive a message. A woman's going to come towards you, or a man, I don't know. This person, or even a bird, and it's going to be a scroll. And I want you to open that scroll. And I want you to tell me in the live chat or in the comment section what the message is for you and how you can cleanse yourself. You know the answer, and I'm going to bring that out of you. Okay, you ready? Just be in a calm, meditative state. You're relaxing. You're relaxing. Deeper. Deeper. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper. Now I want you to think very closely. Where are you? Are you in the kitchen? Are you at the beach? Are you in the forest? Where are you? Communicate with yourself. Where am I? What am I doing? Now look around you. How do you feel? Do you feel happy? Do you feel content? Do you feel satisfied? If not, I want you to think of an alternative scenario. If you cannot think of an alternative scenario, go to the wall where there is a phone hanging. Specifically for some of you guys, I'm seeing a wall phone. I want you to pull that wall phone off, go close to your ears, and just say hello. And let the messages flow to you. I'll give you a moment. Okay. Now that you received your message, now for the others. If you're in a beach, I want you to look down. And I want you to take your foot, your toe, and I want you to draw a message. That is your subconscious speaking to you. That is your subconscious speaking to you. What does it say? What does your own internal self telling you? Now, for those of you guys who are in a flower bed with butterflies flying around you, some of you guys are sitting down reading a book. I want you to find either a bird dropping a scroll down, a woman coming towards you, or even open up your book. I want you to read what other messages are being told to you. What is being told to you? What is being said to you? Okay. You can now close your eyes and start to wake back up. Now I want you in the comment section to either comment what messages you received in the comment section or in the live chat. I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot easier. I feel more at ease. How do you guys feel? I feel like some of you guys were all in different areas. I feel like some of you guys were in a kitchen. Some of you guys were in a home, specifically a home that was a lot older. One that kind of like goes back to your childhood. The other of you, a lot of you guys were at the beach. It's like, I think there was like 2 or 3 of you guys at the beach. And then the rest of you were all at like a scenario where there was a woman coming towards you with a scroll. There was a bird that was dropping something from the sky for you. And then for something else, I think it was somebody was around butterflies, a lot of butterflies around somebody. I don't know who that person is, but there's a lot of butterflies. And then there was somebody with a book. What was the message that Spirit gave to you? What was the message that you told yourself on how you can wash some of the ick off when it comes to the Epstein files? What are some of the things that they told you? So let's talk about that. You have here, she was a psychic and a Pisces. I don't know who that is, but I'm glad that you feel refreshed. I feel very light. I feel very refreshed as well. So I'm very happy that this worked out. For those of you guys who can't see anything with your third eye or kind of see anything in general, it doesn't seem to work on people who, what to call it? At least visionary wise, it's somebody who cannot see images. So if you don't dream, you don't have visions or nightmares or stuff like that, you cannot experience that. But however, you can feel your body become lighter. So it works in that aspect. But in terms of messages, it does not work for that. But that's okay. Because for some of you guys, if you want to know about what are some ways that you can receive messages, let me know. And we're going to try to do a test study so I can be able to help people like you be able to receive messages, even if you cannot see images or vision directly. So just let me know. Okay, better. I was sitting in the living room, sitting with my dog, playing on the sofa, laughing. So that explains why I got the dog there. Then I was in a field playing with the dog, laughing and playing. I was told to relax and laugh. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm glad that you were able to receive a message. So this is some of ways that we as a society can be able to wash some of this dirtiness of the Epstein file. Don't harbor in it. Don't sit there and just read it and absorb it. Just read and understand and let it go. You read to understand and to let it go. That's all you gotta do, to read, understand, and let it go. Release. Do not hold it, right? Do not hold it. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, peace out. I love you, and thank you for watching. Until then, see you in the next video. Bye, guys.